I want to start today's video with a confession. I'm Dr. Finbar, a GP with special interest in dermatology, and I spend my working life looking at other people's skin. And for my own skin, well, I use a bespoke prescription product that I get from an online dermatology service here in the UK. Now, this is a compounded cream, custom made for me with 3 active ingredients all blended together specifically for me and my skin type. One of those ingredients is niacinamide, which we covered in the last video. One is tretinoin, which we'll look at again shortly. And then another third is today's ingredient, azelaic acid. And here's the thing, most people have never even heard of it. Yet it has over 30 years of clinical trial data. It's FDA approved and it's ranked #1 for the most common skin conditions that I see in the clinic. And it does something that almost nothing else in dermatology can claim. It treats 3 completely different skin conditions with strong evidence for all 3 of them. Acne, rosacea and hyperpigmentation. Just the one molecule, 3 indications, 30 years of data. So why is not many people talking about it? Well, let's fix that. Azelaic acid is a really interesting ingredient because it's a workhorse and it's been in dermatology clinics for decades. And I think it deserves a much wider audience than it currently has. Let's start with what azelaic acid actually is. Azelaic acid has a pretty interesting origin story. It's found naturally on human skin where it can be produced by Rosacea yeast. It's also found in grains like wheat, rye and barley. So this isn't some sort of strange synthetic ingredient that's appeared out of nowhere. It's a compound with natural biological history. Now, having said that, the way azelaic acid is formulated matters a lot. In real-world skin care, the vehicle can influence how well it penetrates into the skin and how effective it is. That's why lower strength gels, such as this, can sometimes perform better than higher strength creams. The prescription forms most people come across are 15% gel, such as this one in the UK here, Finacea, or the 20% cream is known as Skinnerin. There are also lower strength over-the-counter versions, and this is the key point with azelaic acid. Higher percentage doesn't automatically mean that it's going to give you better results. The formulation matters just as much as the concentration. So how does it work? Azelaic acid is like a Swiss Army knife. One molecule, multiple completely different tools. Let me walk you through each of these tools. Firstly, it has antibacterial action. It gets inside bacterial cells and disrupts their chemistry at multiple points at the same time. It lowers the internal pH of the bacteria. So think of it like making the environment inside the bacteria very hard for the bacteria to live in. And it blocks the bacteria from building the proteins it needs to copy their own DNA. Now, without those 2 things, the bacteria can't survive and they can't reproduce. And here's the clinical part. Because it attacks the bacteria at multiple points at once, the bacteria can't develop resistance to it. This is really important at a time when antibiotic resistance in acne treatment in particular is a growing clinical problem. Azelaic acid is effective even against strains of acne bacteria that are already resistant to other topical antibiotics like clindamycin and erythromycin. And they are commonly used on the skin. Now, the second tool is its anti-inflammatory effect. It blocks several parts of the chemical signals that drive inflammation in the skin. It also mops up the damaging free radicals. They are the unstable molecules that cause tissue damage, and they are released during inflammation. The third tool, it targets pigmentation, but differently from niacinamide, where niacinamide blocks the delivery of pigment, azelaic acid goes upstream and inhibits the enzyme that produces the melanin pigment in the first place. So think of it as shutting down the paint factory rather than intercepting the delivery van like niacinamide does. And crucially, it does this selectively. It targets overactive, misbehaving melanocytes, those are pigment cells, and it leaves the normal melanocytes alone. So it doesn't bleach your skin. And this is particularly important for patients with darker skin tones, where aggressive depigmentation agents can do more harm than good. The fourth tool is it's comedolytic, meaning it helps prevent blocked pores that lead to comedones, which are the blackheads and whiteheads we see in acne. It does this by slowing down the abnormal skin cell turnover inside the hair follicle that causes the blockage in the first place. And fifth, it reduces sebum, that's the oil. It blocks an enzyme involved in converting testosterone to a more potent form in the skin, which reduces the oil production from the sebaceous glands. One molecule, 5 different mechanisms of action. That's why it works well across 3 completely different conditions: acne, rosacea, and hyperpigmentation. Now let's look at the evidence, condition by conditions, and we'll start with acne. The headline finding from 2024 comes from a trial comparing 15% azelaic acid gel twice daily against oral spironolactone, 100 milligrams a day. This is in adult women with acne for 6 months. There were 40 patients, and the results, there was no significant difference in the quality of life improvement between the 2 groups. That means both treatments worked well, significantly, but neither was better than the other one. That's impressive for the 15% azelaic gel compared to an oral medication. The broader evidence picture includes multiple head-to-head trials showing azelaic acid is comparable to the likes of tretinoin, the retinoid, clindamycin topical antibiotic, and comparable to retinoic acid for acne. It's probably slightly less effective than benzoyl peroxide when used alone, but clinically meaningful across the board. Multiple systematic reviews confirm this. There's also a 2024 double-blind trial specifically looking at post-acne marks. That's those red or brown marks left behind after an acne spot clears. Post-inflammatory redness and hyperpigmentation. 72 patients were enrolled and 60 completed 12 weeks at 15% azelaic gel twice a day. By week 12, the effective rate defined as more than 60% improvement was 73% in the azelaic acid group, and in the placebo group it was only 13%. The quality of life scores also improved significantly more in the treatment group compared to the placebo. So in one product, you're treating active acne and clearing the marks that it can leave behind. And the antibiotic resistance angle that we mentioned earlier, dermatology guidelines are actively moving away from topical antibiotic therapy by itself. That's like clindamycin or erythromycin because of resistance concerns. Azelaic acid is an effective alternative for mild to moderate acne that carries 0 resistance risk. It also works on strains of acne bacteria that have already become resistant to antibiotics. In a world where we need to be more careful about how we use antibiotics, this is no small thing. Next up, we have rosacea, and this is where azelaic acid's evidence is arguably the strongest. In 2024, a network meta-analysis, which is a type of study that simultaneously compares multiple treatments against each other using pooled data, looked at 19 separate trials and over 8,000 patients with popular pustular rosacea. That's the type with the red bumps and pustules on the face. Azelaic acid 20% came in at number 1, above ivermectin, above metronidazole, and above everything tested. Now, an important caveat, and I want to be upfront about this because I think it matters. When a study produces a result, it also gives us a range of uncertainty around that result, a window of values within which the true answer probably sits. Think of it like a weather forecast. The weatherman doesn't say it'll be exactly this temperature tomorrow. He gives you a range of temperature. The narrower the range, the more confident we are in the finding. So for azelaic acid, at 20% in this meta-analysis, that range of uncertainty is quite wide, which tells us something important. While it came out on top, we shouldn't read that as saying that azelaic acid is dramatically better than everything else. It isn't. The honest interpretation is that azelaic acid 15%, 20%, ivermectin 1%, and metronidazole are all in similar sort of territory, all effective, all evidence-based, first-line options, all of them. What we can say with more confidence is this: azelaic acid has over 30 years of trial data behind it, and in the largest direct head-to-head trial of 251 patients for over 15 weeks, Azelaic acid outperformed metronidazole gel on both the physician and the global patient assessment. 78% of patients showed a good to excellent improvement with azelaic acid versus only 64% with metronidazole. Trials for the 15% gel formulation involving over 600 patients across a couple of different studies showed reductions in inflammatory lesion count of about 51 to 58%, with highly significant improvements in the redness. One important nuance I want to flag, because this trips people up sometimes: azelaic acid works on the inflammatory component of rosacea, the bumps and the pustules, and the redness is driven by inflammation. It's not a vasoconstrictor. It doesn't tighten down the blood vessels or stop the flushing that you might get with rosacea. So if you flush in the heat of the moment after a glass of wine, for example, azelaic acid won't stop that acute flush. It's more about the benefits on redness, but works by calming the underlying inflammation over a longer time period, not an immediate direct effect on the blood vessels. That's a different mechanism, so it's worth knowing that difference. Let's look at its effect now on melasma and hyperpigmentation. And the evidence here is also strong. A 2023 systematic review and a meta-analysis, 6 randomized controlled trials, 673 patients directly compared azelaic acid to hydroquinone for melasma. Hydroquinone is one of the traditional gold standard treatments for pigmentation. And the result? Well, azelaic acid produced a statistically significant greater reduction in melasma severity score. The authors note that larger studies are still needed to fully confirm this, but the direction of the evidence consistently favours azelaic acid. And the most striking individual trial in this area, with 155 patients over 24 weeks, found that 73% of patients using azelaic acid had good to excellent results, compared to just 13% on the hydroquinone. That's not a small gap. The key advantage for pigmentation, which I touched on in the earlier section, is that azelaic acid is selective. It targets overactive melanocytes, the pigment-producing cells that are making too much pigment. It leaves the normal ones alone. Hydroquinone is less selective. It reduces pigmentation more broadly, which can be effective, but carries more risk of unwanted effects, including a condition called ochronosis with long-term high-dose use. And then there's the pregnancy angle, which I think is really important. Most effective depigmenting agents are best avoided in pregnancy. Hydroquinone, avoid. High-strength retinoids, avoid. Many chemical peels, avoid. Azelaic acid is FDA Pregnancy Category B, one of the only evidence-based treatments for pigmentation that can be safely used during pregnancy. In a study of 28 pregnant women with pregnancy-related melasma, 92 to 96% of lesions disappeared or significantly lightened with 15% azelaic acid gel applied twice a day over 4 months. Now that fills a real clinical gap. Let's look at the safety, because I know this is what a lot of people want to know before they try something new. This short version is azelaic acid has an excellent long-term safety record built over 30 plus years of clinical use. The most common side effects are stinging, burning, or tingling, particularly in the first 4 weeks of use. In some trials, up to 2/3 of patients reported some initial irritation. But here's the thing, in the vast majority of cases, this settled on its own within those first 4 weeks. 90% of patients in trials rated their overall tolerance as a very good or good. Unlike retinoids, where you genuinely do need to titrate up slowly to give your skin time to adapt, azelaic acid doesn't require a slow build. The initial sting is not a sign of damage, and it typically passes. But if you do get it, you can reduce how often you're using it, maybe alternate days up to twice a day over time. Azelaic acid doesn't cause photosensitivity, so no need to worry about sun avoidance beyond your normal SPF routine. And it doesn't bleach normal skin. It has no known significant drug interactions. Systemic absorption is negligible, meaning almost none of it gets into your bloodstream, which is part of why it's safe in pregnancy. The one practical tip, moisturize alongside it, particularly in the first few weeks, significantly reduces the initial irritation for most people. Let's look at some of the azelaic acid myths, because there's a few that keep circulating and I want to address them here. Firstly, azelaic acid is just for sensitive skin. Well, this one's frustrating because it sells the ingredient short. Yes, it's gentle, but gentle doesn't mean weak. There is clinically active ingredients with randomized controlled trial evidence putting it on a par with prescription competitors. Higher percentage equals stronger. I already covered this earlier in the video, but it bears repeating. Studies show that gel formulations deliver significantly more active ingredient into the skin than the cream, even at lower concentrations, which is why 15% gel often outperforms the 20% cream in clinical practice. Vehicle beats percentage, don't just look at the number. The third one, you can't mix azelaic acid with niacinamide. There's no evidence for this at all. They work through completely different mechanisms. They're not competing with each other and they may actually be complementary. It works on rosacea flushing. Important nuance covered earlier in the rosacea section. It reduces inflammation, bumps and background redness over time, but it does not stop acute flushing episodes. Managing expectations here is really important. The next one, it's a niche or specialist treatment. Well, it's FDA approved. It appears in multiple international guidelines for 3 separate conditions. It has over 30 years of clinical trial data and it's not niche. It's underutilized and there's a difference. Here are 5 pieces of advice on what you actually do with all this information. Firstly, for acne, particularly if you've been on topical antibiotics for a while, azelaic acid is worth a conversation with your GP or prescriber. It's effective for inflammatory acne, treats the marks acne leaves behind simultaneously, and carries no antibiotic resistant risk whatsoever. 2, for rosacea, particularly the bumpy pustular type, azelaic acid has got really strong evidence of its effect. If you have rosacea and you haven't discussed azelaic acid as an option with your doctor, well then that's a conversation worth having. Just to set realistic expectations, it takes up to 2 to 3 months to see full benefits and it won't stop your flushing episodes. 3, for pigmentation and melasma, azelaic acid is genuine, a good alternative to hydroquinone with comparable long-term efficacy and a better tolerability profile. And if you're pregnant and dealing with melasma or pigmentation, which is very common, this is one of the very few options that is both effective and safe. 4, on the formulation, ask specifically for the gel if you can access it. The evidence strongly suggests gel delivery is superior to cream at equivalent or even lower concentrations. The cream may be more beneficial if your skin is very dry. And 5, on patience, give it up to 8 to 12 weeks before you judge it. If you quit at week 3 because of some initial stinging and burning, you'll never actually have given it a proper chance. So back to where I started, my own product that I use, it's a bespoke compounded cream from an online dermatology service in the UK. It combines niacinamide at 4%, azelaic acid at 4% and tretinoin 0.05% in the one formulation, prescribed for me based on my skin concerns. And the reason I mention this isn't to promote any particular service, it's to make a point. These 3 ingredients work through completely different mechanisms. Niacinamide intercepts pigment delivery, azelaic acid shuts down the pigment factory and calms the inflammation. Tretinoin speeds up cell turnover and drives collagen production. Together, they're each complementary, each doing a different job. I've had a lot of sun damage and pigmentation over the years and these help a lot. There are online services that create bespoke compounded products like this for you, prescribed by a doctor based on your individual skin. As always, if you have something on your skin that's changing, growing, bleeding or not healing, please don't try and treat it with a cream or a serum. Get it looked at by someone who is trained in skin lesion recognition. I'll see you in the next one.